Robert Plank Show, episode 94, 6 and 7 figure business secrets, website backups, morning routines, and your process and flow state. Welcome back to today's podcast episode. I'm your host, Robert Plank. We talk in this program about making money online, and today's sponsor is Backup Creator, which you can claim at backupcreator.com, which is now protecting over 98,000 WordPress sites. So if you have a WordPress site, or you're building one, or you might have one in the future, Backup Creator is a great tool for you to just install this one plugin, click a button, and now you have a bundled up copy of everything in your WordPress site that you can save just in case something happens to it, if you get hacked, web host goes under, if you mess something up, break the site, delete a file, whatever, now you have as many safe copies of your site as you want. You click a button and it backs up your WordPress database, content, posts, pages, comments, files, settings, themes, plugins, folders, everything all in one little package. And what's also a great little bonus about Backup Creator, other than the fact that you can automatically back up to Amazon S3, Dropbox, and Google Drive, is you can take one of these backups, install it on another WordPress site somewhere else, and then basically clone or copy or move or migrate this WordPress site from one location to another. Today's quote is from Adam Osborne, who says, "The most valuable thing you can make is a mistake. You can't learn anything from being perfect." I'll repeat that for you. The most valuable thing you can make is a mistake. You can't learn anything from being perfect. So it's all about making mistakes and failing forward fast and getting your routine down. And I mean, routine is usually a bad word, right? Usually, if you're stuck in a routine, it might mean that you have a 9 to 5 job that you hate. You wake up a little bit too early. You hate that alarm clock. Put on that suit and tie, get on that car, into that car you don't like, get into that office under fluorescent lighting you don't like, filled with people that you're not friends with, and kind of just survive until the end of the day, survive until the end of the week. And there's nothing wrong with having a job, especially if you're using it to make ends meet or if you have an exit plan, but we don't want to get stuck into that endless loop of just constant misery, and just nothing makes us happy, and we're only happy around other people that are just as miserable or worse off than us. You don't want that. You don't want that scarcity mindset. You want an abundance mindset. And so whatever trials and tribulations you're currently going through, whatever struggles and challenges, I want you to have a good attitude about it. And I know that it's sometimes a struggle, a process. Some days are easier than others, but we want to do our best to be better people. And I think that, at least for me, and I think for you too, building this online business, having this internet lifestyle is what you're doing to give yourself and your family and everyone a better life. And we don't want to trade one day job for the other. We don't want to trade one thing of misery for the other, right? We don't want to be stuck at our computer 12 to 16 hours a day. We want to actually have fun and replace that time. And I mean, heck, if you could get everything knocked out in the day that it used to take you just to commute to and from work, I think that would be a huge success, and having the rest of the day open. I'm going to share with you a lot of the things that help me, and a lot of it comes down, and this is one of those really cheesy blogger and podcasting things called a morning routine. Okay, now what's a morning routine? Well, the most successful people do the same thing. They do a lot of repetitions over and over, right? So you might have heard, for example, that a famous example is that Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, wears the same ugly gray shirt and jeans every day. Now, why is that? Because that's one less decision that he had to make. And one time, I think there's a picture of his closet somewhere, and it's just filled with like 20 of the same gray shirts and 20 of the same pairs of blue jeans. So the most successful people have somewhat of a routine for a couple of different reasons. One is that throughout their life, they probably tried and added and removed different things. And there's just a certain set of activities that poor people take that you want to avoid, and then a better set of actions that rich people take that you want to follow. And so, for example, the most successful CEOs, like the CEOs of Ford Motor Company and people like that, they wake up at about 4 or 5 a.m. every day, and hit the gym immediately every day. Why? Because I mean that's a really good way to get pumped up and excited for the day and get a jump on the day, as opposed to someone who doesn't wake up till noon, right? Or who sleeps most of the day. We don't want to be like that. Even if you're old and tired, I mean, I'm telling you, right off the bat, the very first thing of this show, if you wake up early, even if you wake up an hour earlier than you normally would, even if you wake up like just as the sun is still kind of coming up, even if you don't have to, but you want to, it makes a huge, huge difference. I'm just telling you. And something that I noticed, might be getting off on a tangent, hopefully not. What I noticed was that when I was trying to balance a day job and this internet business, I always tried kind of sandwiching the internet business like in between, like during breaks or afterwards, and it never worked. It finally broke through when I woke up around 5 or 6 in the morning and I knocked out an hour or two of my business before doing anything, before even taking a shower, and then I take a shower, I go to my day job, and I could keep those two lives separate. And I think that if you find that if you're always switching between tasks, if you always have things hanging over your head, if you always have to say, I'm just going to go and do this one thing real quick, and while that's processing, I'll go and do something else. If you find yourself always switching around, then sooner or later you're going to burn out. And that might be the reason why it feels like you're always running out of time while there's never enough time in the day, because all of your time is being eaten up by all this switching of tasks. We don't want that. We want to keep things simple. So wake up early. That way, either if you have a day job, that's separate. Or the other thing I didn't anticipate is after I'd quit my day job, well, then I had to deal with, you know, other people I was living with, right? Girlfriends and things like that, who wanted attention, who wanted to go and do things, and I didn't want to just be at the computer all day long. So if you have, kids, family, spouse, whatever, other obligations, then you can wake up a little bit early, not too early, a little early, get your computer, internet, business stuff knocked out early on in the day, and then the rest of the day is open. It's a really freeing feeling to know that you don't have to do anything from 7 a.m. onwards if you don't want to. We don't want to be workaholics. We don't want to burn ourselves out. And if you are the kind of person that is spending 8 to 12 hours a day at the computer, I have some sad news for you. And that's that you think you're being productive, but you're not as productive as you think you are. And I've just known from trial and error and things like that if I'm only at the computer 2 or 3 hours a day, I get more done than if I'm at the computer 12 hours a day, but I don't realize it. Your mind plays tricks on you if you spend too long at the computer. I'm just telling you. So what do? Well, you have this thing called a morning routine. And I'm not saying that, well, at 5:05 you have to do this, at 5:15 you have to do that, but wake up early, make the bed as soon as you can. Like maybe there's someone else in it, or maybe someone else wakes up early with you, but as soon as you can, make that bed. Why? Because that is one big accomplishment you've made that day, and it just makes everything else kind of get into the right pattern. You already woke up, already made the bed, you already did one positive thing. Now, out of all the different, morning routines and things like that, like I've read a lot about like what did Thomas Jefferson or Tim Ferriss or Leonardo da Vinci or Stephen King or Ernest Hemingway or who's the guy that wrote Justified? Elmore Leonard. So all these guys, I mean, there's all these like, articles and things about all these famous people who it seemed like just are huge, have massive amounts of productivity. I mean, how many books did Stephen King write? Tons. But what they all had in common was that they all had a set time to knock out what needed to be knocked out, and they all knocked out things consistently. So Stephen King, for example, I can't remember. I think he knocks out either. I think he knocks out 2,000 words. Ernest Hemingway knocked out 500 words. But these guys knock out exactly 500 or 2,000 words a day. So 500 words is about a page. 2,000 words is maybe three and a half pages, and that's it. But if you write 3 pages a day times 30 days, that's 90 pages a month. So after about 3 months, 4 months, now Stephen King has his very next book. And so Stephen King writes 2,000 words a day and at a set schedule, set number of hours, but it's always exactly 2,000 words a day. Here's what I mean: is he's writing whatever the novel Carrie or Under the Dome or something like that, right? And he writes, whatever chapter there is, and if he's in mid sentence, if he hits 2,000 words, he stops. Kind of interesting. If he writes his 2,000 words and gets to the end of the book, he types the end and then starts the next book and writes whatever's left over, 508 words, and then stops right there. But that adds up over time. Now, as far as other entrepreneurs' morning routines, they all say different things like, drink X number of ounces of water. Well, okay, good idea. Exercise, very good idea, because we all work indoors at a computer usually. And my business partner Lance Tamashiro just sent me one of these like Fitbit devices that goes on your wrist and tracks your how many steps you take a day. You're supposed to take 10,000 steps a day. It shares it online. You can compete with your friends. So I mean, I'll keep doing it, but this is just a new routine of mine. But it's a good idea for all of us home-based business owners to exercise, because otherwise we probably won't. But the big common factor I've seen of all these entrepreneurs, the successful money making ones that share their morning routines, is that they break up the day. That means they don't say, well, I clock in at 8 a.m. and I clock out at 5 p.m. That's a job. You don't want to do that. But you do want to get some stuff knocked out and then get off the computer. Go out and do other stuff. I mean, even if you do housework, for some reason, if you spend a little bit of time at the computer and then spend some more time washing the dishes or vacuuming, for some reason it's fun. For some reason, it's more fulfilling and you feel like you're getting all kinds of things done in all kinds of different areas. So I'm telling you, breaking up the day is huge. And out of all the different productivity systems I've tried, the one that has worked by far the best is called 4 Daily Tasks. And you can join our Facebook group right now at 4dailytasks.com/group. It's in a little area on Facebook and you're welcome to join. And the system here is that we complete a 40-minute task, 40-minute task, 40-minute task, and a 10-minute task that are business related, that I can prove I did them, that I have completed. So like I completed chapter 2 of my book. And they're spaced throughout the day. That way I can knock out one, get that sense of accomplishment, go out and do something else, and come back to some other task later. But I don't have tasks incomplete or open-ended. These are just 4 milestones I knock out. But it's important that we take our systems seriously, and that we don't cheat, and that we're not idiots about our schedule. So if you say, okay, well, I've got these 4 things, and this is the 4 most important things I've got to do, but there's this other 5th task I'm going to kind of sneak in. I'm warning you, don't do that, because the next day it'll be easier to break even more rules. But what is important about 4 daily tasks is this idea of chunking, where if you say, okay, well, I have all these little 5-minute tasks, say on like social media or paid traffic or handling some emails, how about you batch them all up into one focused 40-minute session? That way it's done. That way you don't get dragged into that trap of sitting at the computer. You do something that you think is going to take you 10 minutes. Turns out it takes you 3 hours. And because it takes you so long, what do? You turn on the TV, you turn on the radio, you go and open up Gmail and Facebook. You don't want a scattered hour. You want a focused hour, so that you are just in this like massive productive flow state all the time. And when you're blocked, when you feel like things are slowing down and you can't really do much, and you're forcing yourself to just get through it, stop. Don't force it. I would rather, if you had 4 things to do today, like we said, 40-minute, 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 10-minute, and what does that even come up to? About 130 minutes or something like that, 2 hours and some minutes or whatever. But I would rather that if you had 4 tasks that you had to do today, the 4 tasks that will get you closer to making money, the 4 most important things in your business, I would rather you only do 2 or 3 of those and still be motivated the next day, as opposed to so-called forcing yourself to finish 4 tasks, or even worse, forcing yourself to finish 4 tasks and it ends up taking 8 or 10 hours, and then you really don't feel like doing anything the next day. That's the biggest problem with productivity. The biggest problem is consistency, where many times if we just push ourselves too hard or get too demotivated, then weeks will go by with like nothing done. And that's why 4 daily tasks is so important, other than the fact that it's easier to hold those 4 tasks in your brain and know what the 4 things are today. But when I see people who say, well, today I did 10 things, today I did 20 things, well, guess what? The day after that, it turns out they did 0. Day after, they did 0. Day after, they did 0. So me, by running a marathon and they're running a sprint, I get more done. So if you're blocked, stop and don't force it. But we want you to have to have some kind of a system in place. And if there are so many things out there that just have to be done, well, you can delegate them or you can automate them. And one of the things that has been on my mind this week, and we've been promoting this product this week, is called backupcreator.com. That's backupcreator.com. So think about it like this. If you don't use WordPress, you should. And the reason is because, well, when you woke up this morning and you went and used the toilet, well, you didn't have to go outside. When you filled a glass with water, you didn't have to pump water out of a well or go down to the ocean or the river. I guess you'd have to go to a river, can't drink out of the ocean. You didn't go to some other water source miles away to go pick it up. When you ate, you didn't have to start hunting at dawn and take a bow and arrow and take all day just to kill a little rat just so you'd have like a little bit of food. And on and on and on, right? If you had toast, eggs, milk, orange juice, electricity, using a car, using a phone, using the internet, these are all inventions that were created so you don't have to kill the freaking cow every day you want to eat. So think of WordPress like that. Is that when you want to say something, you want to put out a podcast episode, you want to put out a web page, you want to put out a squeeze page, opt-in page, sales letter, webinar page, whatever, you don't have to make it from scratch. The equivalent to making it from scratch is going out and killing the cow, but you use this tool called WordPress to click and it's done. WordPress powers a quarter of the sites online, but there's a couple problems here. Is that with WordPress, to get a site to look exactly the way you want it, it might take a while, right? Like I know on my blog robertplank.com, it took a while to get the font adjusted and to get the size of things and the colors adjusted and to kind of remove the things I didn't want. So if you ever use WordPress, chances are you have your own favorite theme, your own favorite set of plugins, your own favorite settings, maybe your own favorite search engine SEO plugin, security plugin, caching plugin, all these different things that you have kind of customized without even realizing it. Without even realizing it, you have a checklist or a process or a system or a formula for setting up any kind of website you want just by clicking around, by installing this tool called WordPress, which is free, by installing a theme, and a lot of them are free, but some are paid and some are really good, and by installing whatever set of plugins, and maybe even putting in like whatever content or pages or things like that, or little customizations to the appearance, the design, the CSS. So if you've used WordPress for more than a couple of weeks, you probably have this website that took you a while that maybe you're really proud of, that you got it just the way you want it. So that's why you should install Backup Creator to avoid erasing those months or years of work. And I mean, we've all lost files, right? Haven't you ever lost file? I know that when I was a kid, one time I like had an essay and it was totally gone and I had to redo it from scratch. And even though I redid it from scratch, because I had to rush, I had to do it like overnight, it wasn't as good as the original. And so I don't want that for you. I want you to avoid that problem of losing a site. I don't even like thinking about that. Losing a site, and if you had to recreate it, it wouldn't be as good as the original. So how do you avoid that? You install our plugin called Backup Creator. There's a $7 version, and that will just backup and clone. There's a $47 version that will allow you to set automatic offsite backups, which means you can set it and forget it, and you can back up to your email accounts, to FTP, to Amazon S3, to Dropbox, or to Google Drive. That's all included, built in that $47 version. So whichever version that you claim today, make sure that you back up that site in case something happens to it. And so at the very least, install the plugin, click on backup, and save it. And I know that there's someone out there where you're just gonna like think that's silly, and maybe you're just gonna go through the motions and do what I said just because you're gonna say, oh, okay, well, this thing about backups, I keep thinking about it, I keep hearing about it, but because I listened to the Robert Plank show, this guy Robert Plank kind of pushed me into action a little bit. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna log in, I'm gonna click the button, I'm gonna save the backup. But you know what? Maybe not today or tomorrow, but maybe in 6 months, 2 years, something's going to happen to your site, and you're going to look back and find that backup, and you're going to be glad that Mr. Robert Plank from Turlock, California, from backupcreator.com told you to go and back up your site. All right, so I know that that's going to help someone out there. And even if you're a power user, what's really great about this, and I have this set up on all of my sites, is that it can run every day or every week automatically, and then put it out there to Google Drive or to Amazon S3 without you having to think about it. So that way, I mean, we also, I mean, backing up your site, that's the first step, right? But we don't want to lose our site for whatever reason, get hacked, web host screws up, you mess up the site. I don't know who knows what could happen, right? So whatever happens, if you lose that site and you need to recover it, you don't want to go and say, "Oh, it's all good. I have a backup. Oh shoot, I forgot to push the button in the last 2 years, so I can get my site back, but I can get a site back from 2 years ago. Better than nothing. I'd rather have a site from today or from last week." So that's why the ultimate version, the $47 version of Backup Creator, is so useful, because you can have it automatically back up off-site to these places like Amazon or Dropbox or Google Drive. So even if the worst happens, you have a safe copy of it somewhere else. And even if you don't care too much about backups, the real power in Backup Creator as well, other than backing up your site for safekeeping, other than automatically backing up off-site just so you keep having these different, these helpful copies of your site, you can also clone your sites, which means you can back it up in one place, go to another place, and then restore it. So if you're the kind of person who sets up websites for small businesses, or you set up content sites or things like that, what you can do is back up a site. So we have a site that's called, and we were just playing around, but we made a site called Dentists in Orem, Utah. That might be the address. I might be getting it wrong, but there's a city in the state of Utah called Orem, and we bought a special theme for dentists and set it up. And I think Lance, my business partner, was going to sell it or something. But either way, we set it up, and what we could do is we could back up the site called Dentists in Orem, Utah, and then create a new site called Dentists in Turlock and get that one ranking, and get that one sold to some local dentist, and restore the backup we made on Dentists in Orem, Utah, and restore it on Dentists in Turlock. And it's easier to start from a template than to start from scratch. Like I said, with WordPress, we all have our favorite theme, our favorite plugins. Maybe you tried out different plugins to get the right ones you wanted. If you wanted to make a dentist site, if you wanted to make a job site, if you wanted to make a message board site, if you wanted to make a site about internet marketing, about real estate, you probably messed around with different themes. Some did what you wanted, some didn't. You had to mess around with different colors. So it's easier for me to just clone or copy a site, and then on the copied version, then you can change a couple things in just a few minutes, and that saves you 6 months of starting over from scratch. Once you have a process, a website that you like, don't ever start over from scratch, and use Backup Creator for that today. So speaking of figuring out your process, I've said a couple of times already that you probably have your very own checklist, whether you realize it or not. And it's okay, you don't have to write down a checklist for everything, but it does help you to produce the same result every time, and to avoid missing steps, and to do that process as fast as possible, because I want you to have fun doing this internet stuff. And if you're not making money, then any fun you have is temporary. So you do need to be making money, and you need to be making money fast, and you need to be making money in a way that like maybe you sell a product, or you produce some kind of a skill that you actually kind of enjoy, and you get it done quickly. That way you can see the money coming in quickly. And so a really good example for this, because I know some people out there say, well, I can't make a membership site, I can't make a product, I can't sell on Amazon, or I can't make a podcast, whatever. Our most favorite beginner course, and I say beginner, but I mean anyone can use it if you're a beginner or an expert. It's called ProfitDashboard.com. This is our course on how to use a marketplace called Fiverr, that's Fiverr.com, to make some money. And I mean, Fiverr is this really weird place. It's a freelancing site. And I've hired, I think I've spent a couple $1,000s on Fiverr hiring things like videos or jingles and things like that. And so for a long time I thought, okay, I've spent money on Fiverr, but I'm not. If I go back to freelancing, that is for sure. That is a step in the wrong direction. That is like going back to a day job. Until I realized that my business partner Lance Tamashiro he made all this money by providing, well, in his case, voiceovers. And so the thing about this site Fiverr, we're going off on another tangent here. The site Fiverr, there you can provide upsells and you can charge a lot more than $5. And my thinking with Fiverr is if you have your one focused hour, because we've been talking about that a little bit today as well, instead of having a bunch of scattered, a bunch of scattered time split up there, we want you to have just one focused hour. And if that's from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., or if that's 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., whatever, have your 1 hour of playing around and making money. And so the great thing about Fiverr, okay, first of all, if you say, I don't want to make $5 at a time, but what if you just put in 1 hour at a time, and what if every day you had the same 10 repeat clients? At the moment, I would say I have about 4 clients who buy from me every single day. But the goal is 10 clients, because let's say you have 10 clients, and so these repeat clients usually pay me between 20 and $50 every time, and these jobs take me about, to be honest, maybe about 10 minutes. Maybe a little bit less, but let's just to give me the benefit of the doubt, let's just say that these clients take me about 10 minutes for 20 to $50. So maybe that might be a little more than an hour, but let's just say, rough math here, 10 clients, 20 to $50, that's 200 to $500 a day. Okay, just from being efficient, from having good time management to having this repeatable process down, and whatever that click by click process is. So in our case, it's recording voiceovers. I'll just tell you that. But there are people on Fiverr, and this is the new thing I'm looking into getting into, is creating videos, to creating YouTube videos. And some of these guys get paid $50, $100. You might say, only $100. Well, yeah, but if it took you 5 minutes to do it, you would do that. You would do $50 for 5 minutes. So many people have tasks like, managing a support desk, answering tickets, installing WordPress, recording a podcast episode, editing podcast episodes, but those all might be things that maybe the first couple times you did them, they were awkward, right? And so if you know WordPress, maybe the first time you install WordPress or use WordPress, it was awkward. But the more you did it, the easier it became, because you subconsciously figured out your click by click process. The first time you went to change your WordPress theme or install a plugin or add a post or a page, it might have taken you an hour. But nowadays, to add a post, done in 60 seconds. So if you can get fast, if you can get good at repeating this task, then it doesn't matter how many of them you have to create. If you wake up and you've got 5 sales from people, and each person's going to pay you $30, and you can get each one done in 5 minutes, well, then there you go. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to produce those sales. And whether we're talking about Profit Dashboard for Fiverr, or Dropship CEO for Amazon, or Income Machine for WordPress, you need to play around. That's the first step. Figure out what's making money, and then remove the other unnecessary steps. That way you can do things quickly and repeat over and over for that repeat money. And get rid of the clutter, because when we first started, we all thought that there's so many possibilities, and more ideas and more possibilities, and having your focus split, and having a finger in every pie, and spinning all the plates and doing all these things at once. We all thought that was good, but it's not. What's better is to knock out what needs doing and then be done with it. Get on that computer, make the money, and then you're done with it for the day. And I think that everything that we talked about, like our Profit Dashboard course, and especially with WordPress and Backup Creator, that is, out of all the tools I could think of, all the web-based tools, WordPress plus Backup Creator, I think is the best thing right now for improving your efficiency. Why? Because number one, you can back up your site just in case something happens to it. Because that way, it only takes one site to crash and go away to erase 6 months of progress for you. I don't want that. So save yourself 6 months of having to recreate that site from scratch. Number 2, set your WordPress backup on an automatic routine. This is built into the ultimate version. That way, every day or every week, it backs up and sends you an email. That way, you don't have to worry about it. And that way, if you have 100 sites all backing up automatically, you don't have to go and log into 100 different places. It all just backs up on its own. And number 3, cloning. So you can back up your site in one place and then install Backup Creator plugin on the destination and then pull down that backup, and then even if it's like a 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte site with 100 plugins, with a bunch of videos, whatever, it's easier to edit crap than air, and you can copy or clone a site and then change it up the way that you want it and the way that you do it. So the place to go right now is backupcreator.com, so at the very least you back up that WordPress site just in case something happens to it. Get to that flow state and get a good morning routine. Wake up early, make the bed, break up the day, drink water, exercise, do 4 daily tasks. When you're blocked, stop and don't force it. We want you to enjoy your money-making process, and we actually want you to make money at the same time. Both of those factors are very important. So don't have a miserable time with this online business thing. Have fun and make some money, and I want to help you do that, so get our plugin at backupcreator.com. I'm Robert Plank from The Robert Plank Show. Please do us a quick favor if you have 10 seconds and rate and review us on iTunes at robertplankshow.com/iTunes and claim our Backup Creator plugin at backupcreator.com. I'm Robert Plank. Thanks for listening and have a great one.